Did you know there is a country in Europe where an American can show up with nothing but a passport and legally live and work remotely for a full year? No visa application, no fee, no waiting. Or that one Caribbean island can stamp your remote work certificate in as little as 7 business days, letting you trade your home office for a beachfront setup before the month is out? How about the fact that at least 5 countries right now have built fast-track systems specifically designed to get remote workers legal and settled in 30 days or less, some far less? Well, moving abroad as a remote worker is no longer a complicated, months-long bureaucratic ordeal reserved for the ultra-wealthy or the ultra-patient. A quiet revolution in remote work visas has made it faster, cheaper, and more accessible than most Americans realize. And some of the best options fly completely under the radar. So buckle up, because we are about to break down 5 countries that are genuinely set up to approve American remote workers in 30 days or less. And the one at the very top of this list does something none of the others can match. First on the list is Cape Verde, an island nation sitting in the Atlantic, about 350 miles off the coast of West Africa. Most Americans have never seriously considered it, which is exactly why it deserves a spot on this list. The government has been quietly building out its remote working program for the past few years, and it now offers one of the more straightforward entry paths in the developing world. The program is fully online, which is how they keep the timeline tight. Once you submit your documents, approval typically comes back within 3 to 4 weeks, putting it right at the edge of the 30-day window. That is not lightning fast, but given that you end up on a cluster of volcanic islands with year-round warm weather and a cost of living far below what you are used to, most applicants find the wait more than worth it. To qualify, you need to show a monthly income of at least 1,500 euros, which works out to roughly $1,650 at current exchange rates. If you are bringing a family, that threshold climbs to 2,700 euros a month. You also need health insurance covering at least your first 30 days in the country, a clean criminal record, and proof that your work is for clients or employers located outside Cape Verde. The visa itself runs for 6 months, with the option to renew for up to 2 additional years after that. The application fee is modest, and you should expect to pay somewhere in the range of $100 to $150, depending on the documentation service you use. Here is the honest catch. Cape Verde is still building its digital infrastructure. Internet speeds and reliability vary by island, and the more rural or remote you go, the more you may struggle with connectivity. The islands of Santiago and Sal tend to have the best setups for remote workers. If you are on video calls all day, do your homework before committing to a specific location. But as a slow travel destination with a genuinely affordable lifestyle and a functioning remote work pathway, Cape Verde is a real option that most Americans have not even thought to look at. The combination of a low-income threshold, a reasonable application fee, and a fully digital process gives it a real edge over many more complicated programs. Moving up the list, we come to Costa Rica, a country most Americans have at least heard of, though fewer realize it has a formal digital nomad visa that can move surprisingly fast when the application is clean and complete. Costa Rica launched its digital nomad visa in 2022, and the program has been refined since then. The processing timeline from the Immigration Authority is 15 calendar days for an initial review decision. That is not 15 business days, that is 15 calendar days from submission to a written response. In practice, during busy periods like December through January or the summer months, you might see that stretch closer to 30 days. But if you apply in the shoulder season with a complete file, 2 weeks is genuinely achievable. The income bar here is higher than most countries on this list. You need to prove at least $3,000 per month in steady income to qualify as an individual. Bring a spouse or dependents, and that number rises to $4,000 a month. The median salary for a United States remote worker hovers around $5,000 to $6,000 a month, so the majority of American remote workers clear this threshold, but it is worth confirming your own numbers before you start the paperwork. The application fee runs about $100 plus a $90 residency registration fee once you arrive. You will also need to get your supporting documents translated into Spanish by a certified translator, which adds both cost and a few days to your prep time. Budget 2 to 3 weeks for document prep before you even submit. The big draw beyond the processing speed is the tax treatment. Costa Rica does not tax foreign-sourced income. Whatever you earn from employers or clients outside the country stays off the local tax rolls entirely. You still owe the United States taxes on your worldwide income, but the foreign earned income exclusion can shelter up to $126,500 of earned income from United States federal taxes in 2026. Pair that with Costa Rica's zero local tax on foreign earnings, and the financial math gets interesting very quickly. The visa runs for 2 years, renewable for another 2 years after that. Families are covered under the same application. Costa Rica's infrastructure, healthcare system, and general ease of life for English speakers puts it a step above many options in the region. The catch is the cost of living in popular expat areas like San Jose, Tamarindo, or the Central Valley has crept up meaningfully in recent years. You will live well, but do not expect this to be a budget destination. Now we are getting near the top, and the next entry might raise an eyebrow or two. Albania does not show up on most people's radar when they think about living abroad, but it has quietly put together one of the most accessible remote work visa pathways in Europe, and as of early 2026, one of the fastest anywhere. Albania technically categorizes its remote work path as a combination of a Type D long-stay visa and a unique residence permit, rather than branding it with a flashy nomad visa name. The income requirement, though, is what stops most people mid-sentence when they first hear it. To qualify, you need to show at least 450 euros per month in income. That is roughly $500. To put that in perspective, most United States remote workers earn that in a single day. The bar is so low, it is practically on the floor. Standard processing has historically run 4 to 6 weeks, which pushes past the 30-day mark for many applicants. But in March 2026, Albania introduced an express service that cuts the wait to just 3 days for an additional 50% fee on top of the base application cost. The base visa fee for American applicants is 80 euros, so the express track adds 40 euros on top of that. You are looking at roughly $130, all in for a lightning-fast approval on a visa that can carry you through an entire year and renew for up to 5 years after that. Albania sits on the Adriatic coast, borders Greece and North Macedonia, and has been drawing an increasing wave of digital nomads from Western Europe and North America. The cost of living is genuinely low. A decent one-bedroom apartment in Tirana, the capital, runs $250 to $400 a month. Eating out at local restaurants will cost you $5 to $10 a meal. A comfortable monthly budget for a single person, rent, food, transport, entertainment, lands somewhere around $800 to $1,200, depending on your lifestyle. That means someone earning $3,000 a month remotely could cover all their living costs and still bank more than half of what they make. The catch is that Albania is not a European Union member, so it does not carry the free movement benefits you would get from a Schengen-based visa. You are also expected to open a local bank account, which requires some logistics to navigate. And while Tirana has solid internet and a growing expat scene, parts of the country are still developing their infrastructure. Go in with reasonable expectations, and Albania delivers extraordinary value. Go in expecting Western European polish, and you will be disappointed. The visa also comes with a real long-term upside, a path to 5-year renewable residency for €450 a month in qualifying income. For Americans looking for a foothold in Europe without the steep income requirements that countries like Portugal or Spain now demand, Albania is a legitimate answer. Which brings us to country number 2. And if speed and a zero income tax environment are what you are after, this one is hard to beat. Anguilla is a small British overseas territory in the northeastern Caribbean, and it runs one of the cleanest remote work programs in the entire region. The Work from Anguilla certificate typically processes in 7 to 14 days. Submit a complete application on a Monday, and you could realistically have approval before the following Friday. That speed, combined with a tax environment that has no income tax, no capital gains tax, and no estate tax on foreign earned income, makes Anguilla a genuinely compelling package for high-earning remote workers. The application fee is $2,000 for an individual and $3,000 for a family of up to 4, with $250 for each additional family member beyond that. That is higher than most programs on this list, but here is how to think about it. If your monthly take-home income is $5,000, you recoup the visa fee in less than half a month just from the income tax savings, compared to living in a high-tax United States state. Over a full year, the math can be dramatic. You need to show that you work remotely for an employer or clients located outside Anguilla, and you need valid health insurance that covers international medical care. There is no published minimum income floor, which keeps the door open for a wider range of remote workers than programs with hard monthly thresholds. The visa runs for 12 months and is renewable each year. Family members are covered. Anguilla's beaches are routinely ranked among the best in the Caribbean. The island is small, about 16 miles long, and intentionally keeps its development low-key, which means it is quiet, clean, and genuinely uncrowded compared to more touristy Caribbean destinations. The honest downside is cost of living. Anguilla imports nearly everything, which pushes grocery and restaurant prices well above what you would pay on the mainland. A realistic monthly budget for comfortable living on the island runs between $3,500 and $5,000, depending on your accommodation choices. If you are earning enough to qualify for a remote position with a United States company, you are likely earning enough to make it work, but this is not a budget destination, and it does not pretend to be. And then there is the final country on this list, the one that changes the entire conversation: Georgia. Not the state, the country tucked between Russia, Turkey, Armenia, and Azerbaijan at the crossroads of Europe and Asia. Here is what makes Georgia different from every other entry on this list. You do not apply for anything. There is no form to fill out, no fee to pay, no documents to translate. Citizens of the United States can enter Georgia and stay for up to 365 days, a full year, with nothing more than a valid passport. The moment you land, the clock starts. You are legal, you are welcome, and you can work remotely without any additional paperwork required. This is not a loophole or a gray area. Georgia has one of the most permissive, visa-free entry policies in the world, covering citizens of more than 95 countries. For Americans specifically, the one-year entry is free and immediate. Processing time is effectively zero. Now, here is the financial picture that makes this even more compelling. Georgia does not tax foreign-sourced income for people who have not established full tax residency. The trigger for Georgian tax residency is 183 days in the country in a given calendar year. If you stay fewer than 183 days, your foreign income is not subject to Georgian income tax at all. Even if you do cross that threshold and become a Georgian tax resident, the flat income tax rate is 20%, and the country has practical arrangements that many expats use to manage their overall tax burden effectively. What does it actually cost to live there? Tbilisi, the capital, has become one of the most talked about nomad destinations in the world for a reason. A one-bedroom apartment in a nice neighborhood runs $300 to $500 a month. A sit-down meal at a good local restaurant costs $4 to $8. A monthly budget of around $1,500 to $2,000 covers comfortable living for a single person in Tbilisi, including accommodation, food, transport, and a social life. Compare that to the average American rent of over $2,000 a month for just a one-bedroom apartment, and you start to understand why so many remote workers have made the move. Georgia also has a formal program called Remotely from Georgia for those who want official documentation of their status. It requires proof of either $2,000 a month in income or $24,000 in savings, along with health insurance and proof of remote work. But for most Americans, the visa-free entry alone is sufficient and far simpler. The infrastructure has improved dramatically. Tbilisi has widespread fiber internet and a well-developed co-working scene. The country is safe, the food is remarkable, and the mountains and wine country within an hour of the capital make it one of the more scenically compelling places you can base yourself in the world. The catch for Americans is the same one that follows you everywhere. United States tax obligations do not disappear when you leave. You still file a return, still report foreign bank accounts above certain thresholds, and still need to track your days carefully if you want to use the foreign earned income exclusion to its full advantage. None of that is a deal breaker. It is just paperwork that requires attention. What all 5 of these countries share is a genuine intent to welcome remote workers quickly. They are not making you wait 6 months for a bureaucrat to review your file. They built these programs to compete for your presence and your spending, and the speed of their processes reflects that. Before you book a flight, visa rules shift. Income thresholds adjust. Processing times that are weeks today can become months if application volume spikes or a government reshuffles its priorities. Before you commit to any of these programs, verify the current requirements directly with the country's consulate or official immigration authority. The numbers in this video reflect the best available information as of 2026, but your situation is your own, and a conversation with an immigration professional who knows your specific circumstances is always worth the cost.